Ashley.
Hey, everybody. All right,
Hi.
Ashley, you ready to go? Let's do it.
Yep, we are going live right now.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. We're here for the Friday, February 5th special commissioners meeting to discuss have a public hearing and discuss some expenditure of funds. So at first I'll say, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance and stand up if you would, please. I pledge allegiance
To the
to
flag
the
of
flag
of the United
the
States,
United States of America,
to the
and to the
republic
republic
for which it stands,
and
one nation,
one nation, under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
for all.
Thank you. If we could take one short minute, everybody just sit down. We take one short bit of time I want you to know that in the past week, a former town property owner and good friend of mine and good friend of the town, Peter Lucas, passed. So he spent a lot of time, effort, energy, and a lot of money volunteering for the town. So just a short moment of silence, please.
Yeah, he was very involved in this town.
Yeah. Thank you all very much. I'll make that formal announcement at our 12th meeting on the 12th, but I wanted to let everybody know today. So you have let's do the roll call. Mr. Persinger,
I'm here.
Mr. Jazinski,
Present.
Mr. Bauer,
Here,
Mr. Stevens,
Here.
and Mr. Cook, Mayor, Commissioners here. We also have our new town manager, Mr. Zolper.
Afternoon.
Welcome, Mr. Zolper.
Yep.
And our town attorney, Mr. Townsend. And our town clerk, Ashley Sander. And I'm going to remember that name if it beats me into the ground, Ashley. I usually use your first name all the time and I forget your last name, Sander. I apologize.
Got it.
I gave the announcement about Mr. Lucas. Does anybody else have any announcement or updates they'd like to put forth? Hearing none, we'll move on to the adoption of the agenda. You have the agenda before you. Is there a motion to adopt it?
So moved.
motion. Second.
I believe Mr. Jazinski moved to adopt and Mr. Bauer second. All in favor? Any further discussion?
Nope.
No.
Thank you, Paul. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstentions? Unanimous. Then I guess, Mr. Townsend, I will go ahead and open the public hearing to, excuse me, to receive public input on the proposed expenditures of infrastructure funds to complete an infrastructure improvement project for the restoration of medians on Route 1 throughout the limits of the town of Dewey Beach. And just to explain this very quickly, this is a pilot project originally proposed by the Center for Inland Bays, the town, and the Delaware Department of Transportation. Unfortunately, because of financial, the Center for Inland Bays has had to drop out, but the Delaware Department of Transportation is asked to keep the project going, and that's what this one is all about. Basically, it's the project's going to range somewhere between $375,000 and $450,000 all total. The town would be asked to put up somewhere between $25,000 and $35,000 as its share of the project. And the DelDOT has said they would like to have us and DelDOT approach our representative, Mr. Schwarzkopf and Mr. Lopez, for a contribution of what I call road funds. Or Paul, what's the actual name of the fund?
Yeah, so Community Transportation Funds, CTF funds. You know, I'm not sure what we can get from the state, but I think it's a good idea for us to do. I mean, this is a major project that I think is needed. It helps us and it benefits the town. So I think it's a positive thing. The question of how much, so DelDOT is who issues the CTF funds. So we're asking them to give us funds for our participation of their project. So it's almost like asking them to pay for the whole thing. So I'm going to ask to see what kind of relief we can get, but I'm not sure we can get anything for it. Maybe we can get it somewhere else. But, getting that, our portion paid for by the state that's doing the work for us is a little, because DelDOT is who issues the CTF funds.
Mr. Stevens, I'll come to you as soon as I want to explain that, excuse me, this project was originally going to be possibly 4 blocks. And then depending on the availability of state funds from our representatives and the total amount that's available from DelDOT, it might continue to be 4 blocks. It might be only 3 blocks. So that's where the discrepancy is right now, whether the representatives and the state has the total amount of money that they want to put into it. But our share would be somewhere between $25,000 and $35,000. And that's why we're here for the public input right now. Mr. Stevens?
My only comment was to Commissioner Bauer. Commissioner Bauer, in your last marketing meeting, wasn't there a conversation around the possibility of having a donations or having a campaign around some of the beautification?
Yeah, so I think maybe we can raise the money through donations to help our portion out.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the kinds of expenses that aren't day-to-day expenses. So general fund usage versus one-time, and I think this is where marketing can help us out at.
Okay, as part of the public hearing, I'm sorry, Mr. Persinger, go ahead.
Good question. I mean, you said that this project was originally conceived as 4 blocks. It looks like in the diagram, it looks like it was 5 blocks. Salisbury to Reed, is that not the case?
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah.
Okay. So it could be less than that. All right.
Good.
And I don't think you had previously indicated that Center for Inland Bays had dropped out. Was that something?
Center for Inland Bays had a problem with their availability to request grant funds for their share of the project, and because it didn't quite have enough, or they didn't feel that they would be able to get the funds for the drainage issue. They didn't have quite enough garden area, and it was thought that they might not be able to get the grant, and it would not be worthwhile for them to push for the grant, spend the time on it, and then knowing that they might not be able to get that portion of the funds, where DelDOT was putting in the majority of the funds.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Townsend, I think as part of the public hearing, we should ask if there's anybody that wants to make public comments pro or con for the issue. Is that correct?
That is correct. Do we have anyone from the infrastructure committee who wishes to be heard on this?
There is no one in the waiting room currently from the committee or from the public.
Their committee did pass a resolution that I sent out to you all to accept the project and go forward with it. So there's nobody in the public for public comment, Ashley?
That's correct.
Well, then I will go to the commissioners for your comments back and forth. Mr. Bauer?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion so we can discuss it let's make a motion to approve it out of the infrastructure money. And we'll see if we can recoup that kind of money in some other ways. But worst case scenarios, I think it's something that needs done. It helps beautify the town, and we're a resort, so we got to do things that make this place better.
All right, you have a motion to
Second.
I'm
a
sorry.
motion that properly moved and second by Mr. Jasinski.
We
Is
have
there
to
any
come
further
out-
discussion? Mr. Stevens, did you have discussion?
No, I was just participating in the motion.
Oh, okay.
Ashley has a comment though.
Is there,
I just want to make sure we didn't formally come out of the public hearing. Do we have to come out of the public hearing before a motion can be
oh,
made?
you're absolutely correct, Ashley. I don't know that we have to, but that's the way we've been doing it all along. So let's go, Mr. Townsend.
Well, because this is a virtual meeting, I think that you could close the public hearing sometime prior to voting, to give people another minute or two to show up in the waiting room if they do.
Actually, well, we're almost there to vote. That's the problem. So,
Okay, so then I think it would be appropriate, and I think it can just simply be declared that the public hearing is closed.
So moved that the public hearing is now closed. So there is a motion and a second on the floor to accept the recommendation of the Infrastructure Committee and accept the project. Is there any further discussion amongst the commissioners? I have Mr. Persinger, then Mr. Jazinski. Mr. Persinger.
Yeah, you mentioned the possibility that this could cost as much as $450,000. And it looks like Del Dot's contribution might be only as much as $350,000, which could lead us, holding the bag for that additional $100,000. I'm just.
No, sir, that's not true. In other words, they would collapse down the project from the 5 or 4 blocks to 3 if necessary, in order to make it, our commitment, no matter what, our commitment is $25,000 to $35,000.
Okay, so at a minimum, then I think that there should be a cap on the amount of money that we're willing to take from the infrastructure account as part of this motion. And I would suggest, you've suggested $35,000. So I would like to amend the motion to include that in there as the maximum amount of funds that we'd be willing to contribute to this.
Mr. Bauer, are you willing to amend your motion to cap it at $35,000?
Yeah, let's amend it. Let's cap it at, I don't know, 35,000.
Say what?
Cap it at 35,000 of
Right.
infrastructure funds.
That's what the committee approved. The committee
to.
approved, 25 to 35. So
Then,
Mr. Bauer accepts the motion. Mr. Townsend, do I then have to have a second for the amended motion?
Was it Mr. Stevens who seconded the motion to begin with?
No, Mr. Jazinski seconded.
I
Okay.
seconded the
It
motion.
doesn't-
So if you would just voice your consent to amending your motion.
Well, I've certainly consented. Paul Bauer consent?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Okay. I was waiting for Paul. I didn't hear you, Paul.
All right.
Um,
Okay, so you're ready to you're ready to vote on the motion.
Okay. Is there any further discussion, Mr. Jazinski?
So,
I'm sorry, Mr. Persinger still had his hand up. Go ahead.
yeah, I just wanted to finish this. I was a little concerned by your comments regarding the Center for Inland Bays. It sounds like the at least part of the original purpose of this project was stormwater management. And it
It
sounds
still
like,
is.
well, it still is, but it sounds like we're not meeting the minimal criteria that Center for Inland Bays believes is necessary for them to proceed with getting some sort of stormwater management based grant, if I understood you correctly. So there's a little concern about that. I mean, it may be, and this is not to be minimized, it may be this is more a public safety project than it is anything else.
Okay.
The question I have, last question I have is, what would the schedule be? And how would we really evaluate the success of this project?
I would tell you that I have a meeting, Jim, Dee Dee's and myself have a meeting next week with the Department of Transportation, and all those questions will come out then. We'll have more information on it then. It's still in the development phase of it here. They
Okay.
just had to know whether we would support the project or not.
Okay.
Mr. Jazinski,
so do they have an estimate for, I mean, this is kind of just to start as a demonstration, to complete this within the town and what the revenue share would be?
no,
If-
I'll be honest with you, I don't. I'm sure it would be percentage-wise would be based on the same percentage where it is now.
Okay, so we, if they finish the project, we don't know what the total cost is, but right now we're looking at under 10% town share, and it would stay that way if they were to support
And
doing
we
the
just
whole
want to
thing.
make sure it's a pilot project, Mr. Jazinski, that we want to make sure works with this section and then.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I get that. So, but my point is, if we like it, it'd be kind of odd to end up with just, whether it's 3 or 5 blocks with, ropes and a certain kind of planning, and then on both sides of it, have it could be completely different. So I think our intention should be that, assuming it's successful, that we're going to do this throughout the town with the same revenue sharing. And we need to kind of extrapolate out what that amount of money is, for our share to get the whole thing done. To Gary's point, and I think this is a great idea, by the way, but to Gary's point, with the Center for Inland Bays out, does that affect our share in a negative way? Are we going to have to spend more money because of that?
Not that I know of.
Okay. So that was my main concern on that. I mean, it seems like a great project. I'm all about pedestrian safety, and I think that this will increase it in terms of mid-block crossings as well as just looking nice.
No money in any way, shape, or form will be committed without your consent, without the commissioner's consent. So is there any other discussion? All right, Mr. Bauer, go ahead.
Yeah, want to bring this to a vote?
Yes, fine. That's exactly what I want to do. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any against? Any abstentions? Then it's unanimous. If that's, Ashley, you have that on record? All right.
Yeah.
I guess we finished the one item we had. We're down to town manager's comments. Mr. Zober, I want to welcome you on board. I want everybody watching the meeting to know that you've been inundated with good projects that the town is involved in. And do you have any comments?
I'd just like to say thank you for everybody's support. I'm excited about working here, everybody so far. It's been great. I'm going to go in a little light here in the first couple of weeks, but you will see me coming across trying to make some changes here in town as I learn how things operate, and I will keep the commissioners and the mayor informed of those changes or ask them if this is something that I need to request to the commissioners to make these changes. I think this project here shows a very positive light for Dewey Beach. We're trying to do public safety and at the same time improve the look of the center island. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zoper, and welcome aboard. I'm going to go right down the line as I see you on the screen and ask for commissioner comments. Mr. Persinger,
I do not have any comments.
Mr. Jazinski,
No comments.
Mr. Bauer,
Yeah, I'd like to welcome Bill. He's going to be a great asset to our town. I want to thank Jim Dedes for the work he's done in the interim. And we're moving forward. And Bill, you're the best man for the job. So we're looking forward to all your contributions.
Thank you.
Mr. Stevens.
Paul just took all my comments, so I don't have any comments.
Well, I do. I just, besides welcoming Mr. Zoper, I want to tell Mr. Bauer that I personally and the commissioners appreciate all the work you've done on the funds, getting funds from the transportation funding. And we just got approved for the match that we need to fill in the gaps at the different places where we approved them. And because Mr. Bauer made such a great effort for that, thank you very much, Mr. Bauer.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. I mean, it's, we survive on a very small budget, and it's important to, I think, all of us to get whatever help we can from our county and state representatives. So, we're all in this together. This is their district as well.
I've been seeing you on TV lately. You're really smoothing all those reporters.
Just trying to paint a positive image for this place.
And I'd like to announce that the Budget and Finance Committee has a meeting today at 3:30. They're working on the budget for our fiscal year 21-22. The Marketing Committee has a meeting today at 5 p.m. They're working on a companion project fundraiser for a decade of bricks with the Center for Inland Bays the Center Island project between Dagsworthy or Salisbury and Reed, So that's also a possibility. And again, all that will be run through the commissioners. There won't be anything done without the commissioners' approval. So any other words for the town, benefit of the town? Then motion to adjourn is appropriate.
Motion.
So moved. Either way.